All right, guys, I gotta do this quick because I'm supposed to be packing because I'm flying out to Montana again for my 100th time in the past year. Since I've been using a lot of Fuji stuff again, I've been getting a lot of questions on like how I'm color grading all my footage and what camera I'm using and everything. For all my like YouTube videos, I've been using the Fujifilm X-E4 a lot. So how I've been color grading all my videos is I made a custom power grade in DaVinci. I know a lot of people don't have DaVinci, so I made 5 LUTs, and each LUT is they're all kind of like some revised, but they're for like different scenarios and different kind of vibes and stuff. But yeah. All right, guys, I don't really have any crazy footage with the X-E4 because I mainly use it for behind the scenes. Also apologize for me talking so quick. I'm only halfway done packing. There's so much more stuff I have to do before I fly out tomorrow morning. I'm just going to show you guys a collection of behind the scenes video, partly shot on Connor's X-T4 Nashville, because that's all 10-bit, and then some with the X-E4, which is 8-bit, and then I'll walk you through all the different LUTs are for and how to really use them. I'm using DaVinci. If you're using Final Cut, Premiere, the LUTs obviously will work in there. Let's get into it. I'm gonna start this clip. I expose everything for highlights. I don't care how underexposed something's going to be. This first LUT up here, this LUT is just supposed to get you like straight out the door, like a super saturated, punchy, filmic type of look. But if you want more control, you can just do the base, and you see it looks a little bit more overexposed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go before this LUT. I know there's a lot of back and forth. People say that you should do things before or after a LUT. Anytime when it comes to exposure or color temp, I like doing it before the LUTs because I feel it's less destructive. I know people probably want to argue about that, but that's just what works for me. I'm going to start from my offset. You see how my scope's up here? I usually like having my highlights between 896 and 768. So I'm just going to bring that down, and I usually like the base of my exposure to be a little bit more around 512, a little bit more meatier in the lower end. And then I'm going to grab my gain, and I'm just going to lower that down, and there we go. So in that same note, just to keep things easy, let's do my saturation to 75, and you see it looks pretty clean. Let me widen this up a little bit, and you see that's just like a really good base. And then let's see what these other ones do. So cool, it's basically the same as a base, but I put a cooler color grade on it. The highlights are cooler, the shadows are cooler, while keeping the warmth on skin tones. And you guys see all these other clips. We'll go through some of these other ones too. Tungsten's kind of just replicating like the tungsten type film. I know a majority of people probably know about Cinestill 800T tungsten based film. It's basically a Kodak Vision 3 tungsten film. Let's go down to this warm one right down here. So again, the warm one is based off the base, but it's a warm color grade. So now the highlights are a little bit more warmer, midtones have a little bit warmth, and the shadows have a complementary color in there. Basically like your standard teal and orange, but not like your cheesy teal and orange. So warm 2, this shot right here was shot after sunset. So there's a lot of cool ambient tones. So if I put, well, let me show you what the base looks like. So you see the base looks very dead, too blue. We could do the base -3. It's too dark, kind of looks cool. But if you do the warm 2, it bounces out that blue light. That's if you want to kill that blue light. I usually like keeping the blue light, so we go to the base again, and then let's just bump up our saturation to 75, and then let's go to our HDR wheels real quick. Let's just go to our lights and lower those down a little bit, and then let's go to our tint and just push that green, and then let's actually cool it down even more. So there you go. Now we have like a proper, to me, film was either in tungsten or daylight. There might have been other films that were like tinted or anything like that, but if they want to do that, they would use glass filters or they would light it that way. And so personally for me, on all my cameras, I keep it at 5400 Kelvin usually, just a little bit more cooler than daylight, just a hair bit. So no matter if I'm shooting at nighttime, daytime, shadows, hard light, whatever, I want it to look like what it looks like in real life. The tungsten actually looks pretty cool, and then our standard warm, then again the warm 2. Now let's do this daylight one. All right guys, that was kind of crazy. My X-E4 just overheated. I think my room is 78 degrees, but dang. I like it kind of toasty, y'all. Again, this shot was exposed for the highlights, but you see the sun's hitting us pretty hard as well. We're really pushing the F-log on here, so it's pretty overexposed. So let me show you what the base is gonna look like. So you see the base just looks super overexposed. So let's go into our offset, bring that down. I usually bring that down to the black start looking crushed, and then I start doing the gain. So you see that's our exposure right there, and then we could do the saturation again at 75. Too much, let's just do 60, and then we got a good look right there. But let's just do the base -3, and you see already it just almost gets you there from the beginning. Probably bring the saturation down to here. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Maybe bring down the mids, and that's our look. On the 8-bit footage, you see we are getting some banding. If this was 10-bit, that will look totally fine. So if you are using any 8-bit type of Kodaks or anything like that, I would probably stick to the base just because the saturation's a little more mellow on there. So on this one, I'm standing in my Jeep, so the color temp's all over the place. And then after this shot, we'll go into some scenery that has a lot of greenery, and then we'll go into like some blue hour and then some night stuff. So again, the camera set's at 5400 Kelvin. When we go into the Jeep, we're getting a lot of ambient blue light, so our color temp looks a lot colder. Let me show you what the base -3 look like. Actually looks pretty, that's probably what I would roll with, honestly. Like we could go and just lift the offset up a little bit, and that's pretty solid there. Now let's go to these shots of more greenery in there. See, the standard base looks good. That base -3 though, like this is how I like my exposures. You see how most of our exposure is very meaty in here. Our scopes are saying that our blacks are getting a little bit lower in there. So we could just go into our shadows and just lift those back up a little bit. You can either do it through the HDR, or you go into your log wheels and go to your blacks. So you see right there, and now we have a really good, like look all this dynamic range and the highlights and everything. This is on the XT4 too, by the way now. So the base, we got the cooler look, the tungsten look, the warm, and then the standard warm. And there you go. You see it's really green. There's a lot of green out in Tennessee. I wasn't used to it at all. Let's push our tint over a little bit. Lower our temp. So you see the saturation is very bold on the base 3. So let's try to do, let's do our warm real quick. And then let's just go and let's get our highlights way down there. From there, let's create another node real quick. And then let's go to our hue and saturation. I'm just gonna grab all this yellow green because it's so strong. I'm gonna do my hue versus saturation too. I'm gonna lower down the saturation in it. And then I'm going to push it more green, and then let's lower the saturation more. So again, this is 10-bit footage, so we can push it a lot harder here. I'm just going to expand the selection so it rolls off a little bit nicer. Let's go to our luminance too, or hue versus luminance. Just keep bringing that down. Let's do before and after. So you see, I actually don't mind the way it looked. But you see now we have a super like just even shot there. So you see our -3 base, like this just looks awesome right there. Like that wouldn't need too much. Let's try cool on it though. So again, I'm gonna create a node before, bring down that meat of the exposure, bring down our highlights, want it right under 896 at least. And there you go. You see there's so much, this XT4 footage, like geez. Also another trick, if you just wanna get an easier white balance, let's just click here. And there you go. I freaking love how these LUTs work on this on the Fujifilm cameras. All right, guys, 2 more clips. Stay with me here. Again, if we start at the -3, it's gonna be way too dark on this. Here's the base. Here's the cool. Here's the tungsten. Tungsten looks freaking badass on this. Warm 2, again, this is blue hour, so if you want to even out a little bit, warm X2 will be your go-to. Let's do the tungsten on this real quick. I'm going to brighten this exposure. I'm going to push it. You see my skin looks a little bit too red. Wait, let's go back to my ugly face here. You see we are getting a lot of mixed hues in here, so I'm just gonna go push my tint a little bit more, push my temp a little bit more. All right, now we got some pretty good skin tones there. Let's look what the rest of the shot looks like. Yeah, it looks pretty badass. I'm digging it. I'm digging it. Obviously, again, -3 is gonna be too much. So our tungsten, that's our warm 2. Let's start off with our base. Let's lower down our temp, lower down our tint. Let's boost our saturation up, maybe a bit too much. And that's it, guys. So I will post these on my website. I'll put a link in the description and they're all yours. Again, these are only for Fujifilm cameras. I'll eventually make this whole same batch for Canon. It's difficult because I have to go through and redo a bunch of stuff. All these are custom made for F-Log. So yeah, well, when I get time, I'll do that. But for now, enjoy the Fujifilm ones. And if you have any questions, shoot them in the comments. So whoever else might have them can go to the comments and see if they have any answers in there. But yeah, guys, peace. If you go and let